Long ago, in the thriving city of Vamsapura, there lived a merchant named Danaya, who had everything except peace. His son, Upananda, was clever and quick-witted, but he had a dangerous flaw. He could not keep a secret. From a young age, Upananda loved attention. Whenever he heard gossip, even by accident, he couldn't help but repeat it to the next person he met. At first, his chatter seemed harmless, but soon it began to cause trouble. Servants were fired, deals were broken, and friends turned into enemies. One day, Danaya was summoned to the king's palace. His face pale, he returned home in silence. Upananda begged him to share what happened. "I cannot tell you," Danaya said firmly. "This matter concerns the kingdom. Promise me on your honor that you will not eavesdrop or speak of what you do not understand." But that night, Upananda crept near the council chamber where his father spoke with royal envoys. He caught only fragments. Treasure, betrayal, royal vault, punishment. The next morning, Upananda couldn't contain himself. At the market, he told a friend what he thought he had heard. Within hours, rumors spread like wildfire. Panic gripped the city. Soldiers raided homes. Innocents were blamed. The real plan, a secret mission to recover stolen relics, was compromised. The king, furious, traced the leak back to Danaya's household. Though Danaya was innocent, he was imprisoned. Upananda, racked with guilt, was exiled from Vamsapura. He wandered for days until he came upon a forest monastery, where an old monk named Silaratna lived in silence. "Please let me stay," Upananda pleaded. "I have ruined everything with my words. I wish to learn silence." Silaratna looked at the boy, his eyes kind but piercing. "Then listen, and speak only when your words can heal." Upananda was accepted into the monastery not as a student, but as a servant. He swept the stone courtyards at dawn, hauled water from the river, and prepared offerings before sunrise. No one there spoke much. Even when they greeted one another, it was with bowed heads and gentle smiles. At first, Upananda found the silence maddening. His mind screamed with thoughts he could no longer blurt out. Whispers of what-ifs, shameful memories, and restless questions echoed inside his skull louder than any temple bell. One evening, as he swept the meditation hall, he noticed the walls were unusually shaped, concave in some places, with strange carvings. He leaned close, whispered, "I hate this place." The wall whispered back, "Hate, hate, hate." Startled, he stepped back. Was it the wind? His imagination? He tried again. "I miss home," and the walls replied, "Home, home, home." He ran to the old monk. "Master Silaratna, the walls, they speak." The monk nodded slowly. "This is the monastery of echoes. Long ago it was built by those who believed that every word spoken here should be returned to the speaker, for reflection, not judgment." Upananda's eyes widened. "You mean, I can't say anything without hearing it back?" Silaratna replied, "Yes. And the louder your emotion, the louder the echo." Upananda tested it in the following days. When he muttered in anger, the walls screamed his words back. When he whispered in shame, they replied with tenderness. When he said nothing, the silence became soothing, like a deep well of peace. Weeks passed, then months. Upananda, once loud and careless, became still and aware. He listened more than he spoke. When visitors came to the monastery with wild rumors, he said nothing. When young novices tempted him to mock or gossip, he simply smiled. One day, a group of monks gathered under the Bodhi tree to share teachings. Silaratna invited Upananda to speak. The boy hesitated. "What if I say the wrong thing?" "Then the walls will remind you," the old monk said. Upananda bowed and told them his story, his foolishness, his exile, and what silence had taught him. The monks listened, not with judgment, but with reverence. That night, Upananda knelt before the echoing wall. "I have spoken too much in my life," he whispered, "but now I choose my words like a sculptor chooses his chisel." The wall whispered back, softer than before. "Wisdom, wisdom, wisdom." Years passed. Upananda, no longer a boy, had become a calm and composed young man. His eyes, once restless with curiosity, now carried the stillness of a deep lake. The monks began to call him Suttavanta, the one who listens deeply. One morning, as he was tending the garden, a royal envoy arrived at the monastery. The banner bore the crest of Vamsapura. The envoy dismounted and bowed to the abbot. "We seek a man named Upananda." Upananda stepped forward slowly. "I am he." The envoy looked surprised. "Your father, Danaya, was released years ago, but he never recovered from disgrace. Before he passed, he asked that you be found and forgiven." The words pierced Upananda's heart like an arrow. "Is Vamsapura still ruled by the same king?" "No," said the envoy. "The old king fell ill. His son now reigns, a just ruler who seeks wise counsel, and he remembers the story of the boy who once whispered ruin into the city's ear." The abbot, Silaratna, placed a hand on Upananda's shoulder. "You must return," he said. "Your voice now carries weight. Let it serve truth." With the abbot's blessing, Upananda returned to Vamsapura. The city had changed, bigger, noisier, and faster than before. But some things remained the same. Markets still buzzed with rumors, and people still spoke without thought. When news spread that Upananda had returned from a monastery of silence, people were skeptical. Some mocked him, others whispered old stories. But he said nothing. He listened. Then came a moment that would test everything he had learned. A dispute broke out between merchants. One accused the other of theft. Voices rose. Accusations flew like arrows. The king summoned Upananda. "You knew these men once. Tell us who is guilty." Upananda stepped into the court, looked at both men, then turned to the king. "Your Majesty," he said, "when I was a boy, I answered before I understood, and I destroyed lives with half-truths. I have no proof here, but allow me to ask each man a single question." The king agreed. To the accuser, Upananda asked, "Have you ever stolen, even in your thoughts?" The man stammered, I don't know." To the accused, he asked, "If you are innocent, would you swear it before the temple's sacred fire?" The man nodded confidently. "I would." The king was silent. The court was still. Then the king spoke. "We will do just that. The one who lies will not survive the truth." It turned out the accused was indeed innocent. The liar confessed. That evening the king approached Upananda privately. "You've become wise beyond your years. What do you seek now?" Upananda looked toward the city gates. "Only this, a school where children are taught to listen before they speak." Years later, children in Vamsapura learned not just to read and write, but to reflect and pause. The school Upananda founded became known as the Garden of Words, where speech was treated with reverence and silence with honor. Some say that within the school's meditation hall, a whisper still echoes from the old monastery walls. "Speak only if your words are more beautiful than silence." And so ends the tale of Upananda, the boy who once destroyed with a whisper, but later healed with silence.